My question is this: is there one Republican senator in this chamber who gives a damn? And you have to go back in history to appreciate it. Richard Nixon. He went through a period we know as Watergate. We had the Watergate investigation, and ultimately President Nixon resigned. But before he resigned, he instructed his staff to give him background information on his enemies list, the people that he considered to be his political enemies. Well, we went through that chapter, he resigned, and then Congress came together, Democrats and Republicans, and said, we can never let this happen again. We can't let a president put his finger on somebody and say, that's a political enemy, go prosecute him. We agreed on a bipartisan basis for standards between the White House, the Department of Justice, and Congress. Well, under President Trump, we're back into the Nixon conversation about enemies list. On September 20th, the acting U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, Eric Seibert, announced his resignation. Mr. Seibert resisted President Trump's demands to bring charges without sufficient evidence against New York Attorney General Letitia James and former FBI Director James Comey. A Republican appointed by Donald Trump just a few weeks ago stayed true to his oath to the Constitution and his commitment to follow the facts and the law. In his place, President Trump installed his personal attorney, an attorney with no experience as a prosecutor. This indictment represents the latest step in President Trump's long crusade to weaponize the federal government against his perceived political enemies, a return to the days of Richard Nixon. The social media post President Trump issued a command to Attorney General Bondi, and I quote, "They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. We can't delay any longer." He's referring to the prosecution of James Comey. If the president can turn the Department of Justice and the FBI into his own personal police force to target his political enemies, he can just as easily turn it against ordinary Americans. So while today it's Letitia James and James Comey who are the targets, tomorrow it could be our fellow citizens who dare to even criticize the policies of the Trump regime. That's why I've opened an investigation calling for answers from Attorney General Bondi. When President Nixon did this, Democrats and Republicans on a bipartisan basis in Congress sounded the alarm together and defended the rule of law. Where is that same courage today?